close enough.
This is the best horse William Haggas would have had. This is a superstar in the making.
Baaeed has swept through to the lead. It will be 5 from 5. Baaeed wins.
What a racehorse this is, a son of See the Stars.
These horses are very rare to come by. It's like a precious diamond.
He's got the will of iron required for a champion.
Baaeed just doing best on the near side. It's Baaeed from Palace Pier. Baaeed wins. Baaeed is still unbeaten and wins the Queen Elizabeth for second place.
He's a very straightforward horse. You see him walking around the yard, he just puts his head down and goes. He's like that in the mornings, goes out. He's sharp, but he's a nice horse.
How much did Baaeed impress you in the Lockinge first time up this season?
I felt a bit tense before the Lockinge, I have to say. I don't usually get like that now. I'm sort of, now I've got older, I just sort of say, well, it'll be what it'll be, and that's the end of it. I thought he might be a bit fresh and possibly rusty, but he wasn't. He settled well and travelled well and won all right, yeah.
Yeah, he was visually very impressive. I love the way he, settled straight into the bridle, didn't fight Jim at all, and I think that's really, other than his class, that's his greatest asset, is his attitude, the way he goes about it. He makes everybody's life easy from that point of view, so, and then to see him quicken at the end like he did was obviously fantastic.
Is he the type of horse that shows you a lot at home?
Yeah, he's very generous. He produces, or he has done so far every time. So it's very easy to see too much of it. So we try and do as little as we need to, but as much as we need to, if you get my meaning. He got loose. James Fanshawe caught him in March. We were fairly pleased about it. Got the heart ticking a bit that day. But essentially he's a very nice, kind-natured horse.
He's a surprisingly small horse, and he's a good bit smaller than Hookham, his brother, who would be probably 1.5 inches bigger than him, but he's very well put together. He's got this amazing hind quarter on him like this, huge, with I guess the power comes from. He's quite a neat horse really for his pedigree, but he's got a lot of quality, as you saw, a lot of presence. He's a beautifully put together horse. He's just sort of an inch smaller than one would expect, maybe. He doesn't have the physical scope to change enormously. He's got stronger, and Jim said to sit on him now, he really feels a powerful horse. Yeah, I don't think he's grown a lot. He's just filled out even more.
What stage did you realise how much speed you had on your hands?
Well, he won well at Leicester, and ours usually a gormless first time, and then they're much better second time. So we felt that it would be worth keeping it a mile for his second start, and then he won his maiden or novice very easily, and that really was he's plenty quick enough. I think after Newmarket I thought, he's a good horse, and I rang Dominic Gardner-Hill, the senior handicapper, and I said, what do you make of him? And he was fulsome in his praise, and he's a neutral. He was impressed, and we toyed with the idea of supplementing him for the Sussex. But because there was a Group 3 race the following day for 3-year-olds only, it sounded the sort of right thing to go for that.
I was very impressed with the speed he showed in his maiden for a horse with his pedigree, who we imagined at that stage was certainly a 1.25 mile horse. And then he won his next 2 starts well, and then Goodwood again was very impressive on a track which I didn't think would necessarily play to his strengths. He had the speed stroke class to win it handsomely. And William, we had a minor setback with him before France, and he just missed a couple of days, and I know William felt he wasn't at his best then.
Baaeed has swept through to the lead, goes on now by 2 lengths or so. Order of Australia and the blue jacket of Victor Ladoran giving chase in second and third places, but it will be 5 from 5. Baaeed wins.
He's obviously very talented. He won nicely, and he's still learning. So it's all part of the learning process, and he's still has his old ears stuck forward. So I don't think he was flat out.
He's got a fantastic mind, very laid back. And obviously, look, he's been winning races very easily back home, and it's first step up into Group 1 company. But it was a good performance, and I hope he can keep progressing. I think he will do.
Baaeed just doing best on the near side is Baaeed from Palace Pier and the Revenant. They're chased by Lady Bowthorpe. Baaeed, Palace Pier is digging in, but Baaeed wins. Baaeed is still unbeaten and wins the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes.
It was magical. I think people forget he's come such a long way in a short space of time, and it's a great buzz to ride a horse that good, and it was a great race.
And as a young horse, why did it take that long for him to get to the track?
Well, that's a very good question. My memory is fuddled by alcohol now, so I can't really remember, but I'm not really usually in a rush with my 2-year-olds. They only need to do one thing to suggest to me that they need more time, and they get it.
I've learnt with William, you never pester him too much. You know, he was a well-bred horse, he was a good-looking horse, so obviously the hopes were high, and he was a brother to Hookham, who'd started to show above average ability at that stage, so it just took a bit longer to see it than would have been ideal, and William just felt he was a bit immature as a 2-year-old, didn't push him and gave him time to come to himself, and then obviously he had sort of announced his arrival on the stage quite quickly once he did start.
I do remember putting him in the King Edward before he ran, but saying to Angus in March that he wasn't pleasing me physically, and I thought he needed more time. So the usual programme is to run a nice maiden at Newmarket or Newbury in April, but he missed all that, and you know, I was always thinking that he was a mile and a quarter, mile and a half horse because of his pedigree. But I remember with Sea of Class, when she started, I couldn't believe how much speed she showed, and she was by See the Stars out of a mare by Hernando, which is stamina, stamina, stamina. So I ran her a mile first time, she finished second, and then we stepped her up in trip. So, you know, she got beaten in her first start, but then progressed, and that's what we like to do. We like to run them possibly a bit short of their best first time, or certainly at their minimum, but we want them to win if they're good enough, and then step them up in trip as they progress.
Is there a plan to do that with Baaeed? Do you think that you can draw that speed out over the longer trip?
Well, I'd love to try it, and I think we're all set to try it unless something unforeseen happens between now and York. But I think York's the obvious race to try it, and that's what we'll do.
I've been surprised, of course I have, with the speed he's shown by See the Stars, and a full brother to a nice mile and a half horse. He has so much class, I guess, whether it's just class or whether you call it speed, but he's able to compete at a mile at the top level so far, so as long as he can do that, you know, we'll obviously go to Ascot. As everyone will tell you, it's our Olympics. It's the biggest week of our domestic season here. It's the first race on the first day. You know, everyone will tell you one winner at Ascot, it makes it a good week, and if we were lucky enough to get off the mark on the first race of the first day, it would be a fabulous thing for everybody. Obviously, I used to feel enormous nerves, but as I've got so old, I think now I just appreciate how lucky we are to have a horse like this. And you know, if William and his team can get him there on the day in the best form they can, then there's nothing more. Then it's up to Lady Luck and the racing gods, and you just take what you're given. I never like the comparisons, and everyone's sort of trying to make out that he's the next Frankel, which I think is a little over the top and almost disrespectful to Frankel, you know, who was certainly the best horse I've ever seen or ever expect to see in my lifetime.
And Quealy says go on the champ. It's Frankel that leads the way, and he opens up in tremendous style. 4 or 5 lengths clear of Acceleration. The rest are well beaten off, and it's all the ones for Frankel. It's going to be 11 from 11 here. The champion of the world, Frankel, in majestic form by 8 or 9 in the Queen Anne.
Only you lot are doing the Frankel comparison. Frankel was an outstanding horse, and he was absolutely brilliantly trained because he was difficult. This horse is not difficult. Frankel was extremely strong and powerful. This horse is much easier. Whether he's as good, we'll have to see, but that's for you experts to decide, not me.
To be mentioned in the same breath, obviously it's fabulous, but I would never be so disrespectful to myself to say that I think he's that good. You know, let's see how he gets on till the end of the year, but look, he didn't win a Guineas. You know, he wasn't a good 2-year-old like Frankel, so he's got a long way to go, but he's an unbeaten 4-year-old now in 7 races, whatever it is. He's a hugely exciting horse. People have sort of latched onto him, and it's great for the sport that we have these horses that people can get excited about. You know, we all do. That's why we do it.